A tiny vial of blood was supposed to change medicine forever. No large needles, no long waits. Hundreds of tests the company claimed could begin with a single finger prick. Investors poured hundreds of millions of dollars into the promise. Patients trusted the results, but the miniature machine at the center of Theranos could not deliver what the world had been led to believe. The story began in 2003. Elizabeth Holmes was a 19-year-old student at Stanford University. She left school and founded the healthcare company that would eventually be called Theranos. Her idea was irresistible: replace tubes of blood and large laboratory machines with a few drops from a finger. If it worked, testing could become cheaper, faster, and easier to reach. But blood is complex. Tiny samples can be difficult to collect and test consistently. Every result must remain dependable across different patients, machines, and conditions. Theranos kept much of its work secret, saying it needed to protect valuable intellectual property. That secrecy also made independent scrutiny difficult. Little peer-reviewed evidence supported the sweeping public promise. Still, money and influence flowed toward the company. Ramesh Sunny Balwani became Theranos' president and chief operating officer. He and Holmes were also in a private romantic relationship. Together, they guided Theranos through extraordinary growth. A prestigious board and powerful supporters gave the young company an aura of authority. Then Walgreens offered Theranos a path from Silicon Valley into ordinary Americans' lives. Testing centers opened inside stores in 2013. Customers could walk in and order permitted tests. Behind the rollout, however, the miniature platform was not ready to perform the broad menu being promised. Theranos instead relied heavily on conventional analyzers made by other manufacturers. Some machines were modified to process smaller finger prick samples. Using commercial equipment was not itself improper. The issue was what partners and investors were told. The SEC later alleged that most patient tests were performed on modified or conventional machines. It also alleged demonstrations made visitors believe Theranos devices were processing samples when some testing happened elsewhere. The public story grew. Theranos reached a valuation of roughly $9 billion. Holmes appeared on magazine covers and conference stages, becoming a symbol of startup ambition. The company said its technology could make health information faster, cheaper, and more accessible. Investors also heard that Theranos technology had been used by the United States military in the field. Evidence later established that its devices had not been deployed on battlefields or medical evacuation helicopters as represented. Theranos projected more than $100 million in 2014 revenue. According to the SEC, actual operating revenue that year was a little over $100,000. Inside the laboratory, employees were becoming deeply concerned. Among them were laboratory associate Erica Chung and former employee Tyler Schultz. They saw quality control failures and a troubling gap between laboratory reality and public claims. Theranos aggressively protected confidential information and challenged former employees. For Schultz, speaking out also created a painful conflict with his grandfather, Theranos director George Schultz. Chung contacted federal regulators. Schultz became an important source for Wall Street Journal reporter John Carreyrou. In October 2015, the journal published the investigation that changed Theranos' future. It reported limited use of Theranos' proprietary technology and employee concerns about accuracy. Theranos strongly disputed the reporting. Holmes called it false and misleading. The company released a lengthy rebuttal, defending its methods and accusing the journal of removing context. The journal stood by its work. Soon, the dispute moved beyond competing public statements. FDA inspectors found problems involving the nanotainer collection device and complaint handling procedures. The agency said an uncleared device had been shipped across state lines. Federal laboratory regulators found deficiencies serious enough to pose immediate jeopardy to patient health and safety. Theranos proposed corrections and continued defending its work, but the foundation was giving way. In 2016, Theranos voided every patient result produced on its Edison devices during 2014 and 2015. Tens of thousands of results were affected. Patients and doctors had already received those numbers. Laboratory results can influence treatment, pregnancy care, and fear of serious disease. At trial, one patient described a positive HIV result before later tests showed she was negative. Another patient testified about incorrect pregnancy information. Those experiences became part of the criminal cases. Walgreens ended the partnership. Theranos closed its clinical laboratories
and testing centers. Lawsuits, sanctions, and investigations followed. In March 2018, the SEC charged Theranos, Holmes, and Balwani with a years-long investor fraud. The regulator said the company had raised more than $700 million through false or exaggerated claims. Holmes and Theranos settled without admitting or denying the SEC allegations. Holmes paid a penalty, surrendered company control and shares, and accepted a 10-year public company leadership ban. Balwani contested the SEC case. Both executives pleaded not guilty to the later criminal charges. After failing to find a buyer, Theranos dissolved in 2018. The $9 billion company disappeared. The criminal trials took years. Holmes and Balwani were tried separately. Holmes testified that she believed Theranos was building valuable technology and denied intending to defraud anyone. Her defense also presented abuse and control allegations concerning her relationship with Balwani. Balwani denied those allegations. In January 2022, Holmes was convicted of conspiracy to defraud investors and 3 investor wire fraud counts. The same jury acquitted her of the patient-related conspiracy and 3 patient wire fraud counts. It could not agree on 3 other investor counts, which prosecutors later dismissed. That distinction matters. Holmes was convicted of investor fraud, not the charged patient fraud. An acquittal means prosecutors did not prove those specific charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Balwani's separate jury convicted him on all 12 counts. His convictions covered fraud involving investors and patients. Holmes received 11 years and 3 months in prison. Balwani received 12 years and 11 months. The court also imposed approximately $452 million in restitution. A federal appeals court upheld the convictions, sentences, and restitution in 2025. As of July 31, 2026, both remain convicted. Balwani has asked the Supreme Court to review his case. Theranos matters because medicine cannot run on vision alone. When patients trust a number, that number must be true. If you value stories about the hidden decisions behind powerful companies, you may want to stay with this channel.